Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to learn the pathhematology. So before starting it, let's do some introductory part of the hematology. So as we all know the types of collagen, there were four types of collagen: type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4 collagen. So type 1 is present in the bone. How we can remember? As we write the 1, as similarly we write the bone. In bone also one letter is come. So bone, type 1 collagen is present in bone. Type 2 is present in cartilage. How we can remember that type 2 is present in cartilage? We can remember it like, as we write the cartilage, we can write cartilage. So type 2 collagen is present in cartilage. And type 4 is present in basement membrane. How we can remember it? We can remember it like this: base on the floor. Base on the floor. So base on floor. So type 4 collagen is present on the basement membrane. Base on floor or base on 4, type 4 collagen basement membrane. And type 3 is present in the blood vessels and granulation tissue. Type 3 is present in granulation tissue and blood vessels. So in the hematology we use these three symbols like PS, BMA and BMB. So PS stands for peripheral smear, BMA stands for bone marrow aspiration, BMB stands for bone marrow biopsy, which is done for the tissues, bone marrow biopsy. Now the types of needle which is used for doing this peripheral smear, bone marrow aspiration and bone marrow biopsy. So these were the types of the needles as we see here: Klima needle or Silha needle. S for Silha, S for silver. So silver, as we see, this is a silver needle which is used for bone marrow aspiration. So for the bone marrow aspiration, silver needle is Silha needle. And for the bone marrow biopsy, B stands for biopsy. So bone marrow biopsy is done by Jamshidi needle. So Jamshidi needle help in doing bone marrow biopsy. Now the most common site. So the most common site where we do this biopsy and peripheral aspiration is PSIS, that is posterior superior iliac spine. And if the person is obese, then we do the anterior superior iliac spine. Or if we have to do it on the child, then we can use the upper part of the tibia. For the bone marrow aspiration or bone marrow biopsy, we use these three sites. Please remember it. It is very, very important. Now let's move to the next part, that is stain. So in hematology, for the peripheral smear and bone marrow aspiration, we are going to use the Romanowski stain. And Romanowski stain is, as it is a family which consists of Gimsa, Leishman, Wright and Jenner stain. So these were the stains which are used for peripheral smear and bone marrow aspiration. Well, for bone marrow biopsy, we have to use H and E stain. H and E stain is used for doing bone marrow biopsy. Now, what were the components of bone marrow? So the components of bone marrow is the cells and the fats. Cells and fats. And in the adult, both these components were in the ratio of 1:1, that is 50:50%. Ratio is 1:1 ratio is present in adult, and in the child, fat is less, cells were more. So in the child, 75:25 ratio, while in the adult it is vice versa, that is cells were less than the fat. So in the elderly person, there is more fat, that is fat ratio is 75%, while the cell ratio is 25%. These were the ratio of cells and fats in the bone marrow. Now hematopoiesis, how the hematopoiesis occur. So first, the hematopoietic stem cell CD marker is CD34 positive. Now here one note is there, that where we study the CD34 positive marker, that is hematopoietic stem cells and endothelial cell. So for the marker of endothelial cells, CD marker is CD34, and for the HSC, that is hematopoietic stem cell, the marker is CD34 positive. Now the hematopoietic stem cells consist of myeloid lineage and the lymphoid lineage. In the myeloid lineage, we have to do RBC. Myeloid lineage has RBC, WBC and the platelets. WBC except the lymphocytes, because lymphocytes were in the lymphoid lineage, and that is B, T and natural killer cells. B, T and natural killer cells. So these were the myeloid lineage and lymphoid lineage. Now I'm going to ask you that what is the first cell to be present in the early fetal life? So our answer is RBC. That RBC were the first cells that is present at the day 19 of the fetal life. So RBC were the first cell which were present on the day 19 of the fetal life. Now from 3 weeks to 3 months, the RBC were present in the yolk sac. After the yolk sac, they moved to the liver, then in the bones, and then after puberty, they moved to the long bones. So 3 weeks to 3 months, yolk sac. 3 months till the birth, they were present in the liver. After birth till puberty, they were present in the all bones. and after the puberty they were present only on the long bones. So these were the RBC's cycle. Now RBC, red blood cells, how they were formed. So the RBC were formed by formation of RBC were from pro-normoblast, early normoblast, intermediate normoblast and late normoblast. Pro-normoblast is the first cell to show hemoglobin on electron microscopy. So on the electron microscopy, the first cell to show hemoglobin is pro-normoblast, that is pro-normoblast, and the first cell to show hemoglobin on light microscope. So on the light microscope is intermediate normoblast, as we write I, as we write the L. So intermediate cells show the light microscopy hemoglobin, while the pro-normoblast shows hemoglobin on electron microscope. And early normoblast, intermediate normoblast, late normoblast. So we can remember it like this also. BPO, below poverty line, that is BPO. That here is basophilic normoblast, polychromatophil normoblast and orthochromatic normoblast. After this they move to the peripheral blood. So the first cell to move to the peripheral blood is reticulocyte. So this is the question, that the first cell to move the peripheral blood is reticulocyte, and it is first anucleated cell. So the first anucleated cell means the nucleus is absent. So the first anucleated cell is reticulocyte. After it convert into the red blood cell. After it mature into the red blood cell. Now the normal count of the reticulocyte is 0.5 to 2%. 0.5 to 2% is the normal count for reticulocyte. And how we can stain it? We can stain it by supravital stain, as this is the this year question of the FMG, that the stain which is used for that supravital stain is used for, and your answer is reticulocyte. So this is FMG 2021 question, that the supravital stain is used for reticulocyte. So reticulocyte use the supravital stain, and supravital stain example, new methylene blue or brilliant cressyl blue, means it shows the blue color. So as we see, these were the reticulocytes and these were anucleated, and in this we see this blue color, that is due to supravital stain, that is new methylene blue or cressyl blue, brilliant cressyl blue. Now how we calculate the corrected reticulocyte count? So for the correction of reticulocyte count, we are going to use these two formulas. So these two formulas are used for counting the reticulocyte count. How we can count? So here first we put the reticulocyte count into the packed cell volume of the patient upon the normal value of packed cell volume, that is 45, that is 45. Or if the hemoglobin content is given, that hemoglobin of a patient is given, then we use the reticulocyte count into the hemoglobin of the patient upon the normal hemoglobin, that is 15. So this is the formula which we used for the counting of reticulocyte count. Now the RBC. So the RBC lifespan, as we all know, the lifespan of RBC is 120 days. We already know this question from the class 9th or 12th. So, and the shape of the RBC is biconcave. Normal shape of RBC is biconcave. And if the size is variable, then we call this anisocytosis. Anisocytosis means the size is not same for all, there is variation in size. And poikilocytosis means there is variation in the shape. And we all know that the normal size of RBC is 7.2 to 7.4 micron. Normal size of RBC is 7.2 to 7.4 micron. Now these were the values which were helpful in finding a condition of microcytic or macrocytic or hyper or hypochromic anemia. So MCV represent the mean corpuscular volume. MCV represent the mean corpuscular volume. So it tells you about the size of the RBC, and the normal size of RBC is between 80 to 100 femtoliter. If it is between 80 to 100 femtoliter, then we call it normocytic, and if it is less than 80, then we call it microcytic, and if it is more than 100, then we call it macrocytic. And MCH tells you about the color of the RBC. The normal color should be range between 27 to 32 picogram, and if it is less than 27, then it is hypochromic anemia, and if it is more than 32, then it is hyperchromic anemia. And MCH is only increase in hereditary spherocytosis. I am telling you it only and only increase in hereditary spherocytosis. In hereditary spherocytosis, MCHC value is increased, and the normal value of MCHC is 33 to 36 gram per deciliter. PCV shows the packed cell volume, ESR shows the erythrocyte sedimentation rate, RDW means the red cell distribution width, that is normal between 11.5 to 14.5%, and it measures the anisocytosis, means it measures the size of the RBC, red cell distribution width, which is normal 11.5 to 14.5%. Now here I am going to tell you that suppose this is a tube. In this we collect a normal person blood, and after a 1 hour we see that all the red blood cells get settled down. So all the red blood cells get settled down. So the red blood cells which get settled down were known as packed cell volume, packed cell volume. And from this range, means from this range they get settled to this range, that is known as ESR, and the packed cell volume gets, means RBC gets packed. So this is a concept of this. Now here I am giving you one clinical scenario, that suppose there is a one female whose hemoglobin level is 6, means the female is have anemia now, and the MCV value is 62. As we all know, the normal value is between 80 to 100 femtoliter. Here the value is 62, means the RBC size is less, means microcytic, means RBC size is less, and MCH means color. Here it is given 23 picogram, and we all know that the normal MCH value is 27 to 32 picogram. So means the female is hypochromic. So here the condition is microcytic, hypochromic, and hemoglobin is low. It means that it is anemia. So the female has microcytic, hypochromic anemia. Now I am going to tell you some tube. These were the image based questions which will come in the exams. So here as we see, this is a tube because it is closed at one end. So tube closed at one end. So this is a tube, and the name of this tube is Wintrob tube. Name of this tube is Wintrob tube, which is helpful in checking the value of packed cell volume and ESR. Packed cell volume and ESR we can both checked by Wintrob tube, and this is a short tube as compared to the Westergren pipette. I will show you this. This is a Westergren pipette. Why pipette? Because it is a long tube and it is open at both ends, and it is open at both the end. So as it is long, so the name also long, that is Westergren pipette. So it is a Westergren pipette, and it only and only tell you about the ESR value. It only and only tell you about the ESR value. Well, the Wintrob tube tell you about the packed cell volume and ESR. It only tell you about the ESR value. Now this is a peripheral smear which we see here. So in this, as we see this, we have to first check the nucleus of the lymphocyte. Why we have to check the nucleus of the lymphocyte? Because normally the size of nucleus of lymphocyte is equal to the size of RBC. If we find that the nucleus of lymphocyte and RBC size is equal, means the biopsy image which they show us is of normal. Now here we check that the size of this and the size of RBC is equal, means they were normal, and central is also 1/3 paler. Now next move to the anemia. As we all know, anemia were microcytic hypochromic or macrocytic hyperchromic anemia. How we can remember the examples of microcytic hypochromic anemia? We have one mnemonic, that is Sita, or we can say the Sital. We can say the Sita, or we can also say the Sital. So S stands for sideroblastic anemia, I stands for iron deficiency anemia, T stands for thalassemia, and A stands for anemia of chronic disease. And if we put the letter L, then L stands for lead poisoning. And here the sideroblastic anemia, the cause of sideroblastic anemia is lead poisoning. So you can remember either Sita or you can also remember Sital. So these were the causes of microcytic hyperchromic anemia. Now let's begin the iron deficiency anemia. So iron deficiency anemia is the most common nutritional deficiency. This is the most common nutritional deficiency anemia. This is the first question, that the most common nutritional deficiency anemia is iron deficiency anemia. Please remember it. It is very, very important question. Now here the iron forms. So the iron forms were heme iron and non-heme iron. So N is not for N. N is not for N, means non-heme is for vegetarian people and heme iron is present in non-veg food. So heme iron is present in non-veg and non-heme iron is present in vegetarian vegetables. So the factors for iron absorption. So there were some factors which help in absorption of iron, and also there were factors which inhibit the iron absorption. So first let's look about the promoting factor of iron absorption. So the promoting factor were ascorbic acid, that is vitamin C, acidic pH, amino acid. So all the acidic content promote the iron absorption. So for the iron absorption, this FMG 2021 question, that the factor which promote the iron absorption were, so your answer is ascorbic acid. Answer is ascorbic acid. Either in the option you find ascorbic, vitamin C, or amino acid, or acidic pH. So these were the promoting factors for iron absorption. And the factors which inhibit, if there is decrease of vitamin C, decrease of amino acid, if the pH is alkaline, or phytates and tannates inhibit the iron absorption. Phytates and tannates inhibit the iron absorption. What were the causes of iron deficiency anemia? So the first cause is iron decreased dietary intake of iron. So first one is dietary intake iron decrease, or there is loss of blood. And the parasite which involved in iron deficiency anemia is hookworm. Please remember this. Hookworm is the parasite which cause the iron deficiency anemia. Now let's do the iron absorption, how the iron gets absorbed. So the most common site, so the site for iron absorption is duodenum. So the site for iron absorption is duodenum. Here I told you, I am telling you that this is a duodenum, jejunum and ileum part. So in duodenum iron get absorbed, in the jejunum part folic acid get absorbed, and in the ileum part vitamin B12 get absorbed. So here we are talking about the iron, so iron gets absorbed from the duodenum part. So the site for iron absorption is duodenum. So how it get absorbed? So as we intake the food, so in the food Fe3 form of iron is present. In the food Fe3 form of iron is present, which is converted into Fe2 positive by enzyme cytochrome B reductase. By enzyme cytochrome B reductase, they convert it into the Fe2 positive form. Now the Fe2 positive form is going to absorbed from the lumen side by the transporter, that is DMT1. That is DMT1, that is divalent metal transporter 1. It help in the absorption of iron from the lumen side. Now from lumen side it is absorbed, and from the basal side it is absorbed by the ferroportin. It is absorbed by the ferroportin. So as the ferroportin absorbed iron, so iron comes into the blood vessels. In which form it comes into the blood vessels? That is Fe2 positive. Now this Fe2 positive is converted to Fe3 positive with the help of hepcidin. So hepcidin will help in conversion of Fe2 positive to Fe3 positive again in the blood vessels. Now this Fe3 positive is transported by a transferrin. So how the iron gets transported? So iron gets transported by transferrin. With the help of transferrin, iron gets transported. Now here are some questions about the iron, that the transport protein of iron is transferrin. I already told you this. And the storage form of iron is ferritin. And the master regulator of iron is hepcidin. Why it is hepcidin? It is not hepcidin. That convert the Fe2 positive to Fe3 positive. But the master regulator of iron is hepcidin, which is released by the liver, and hepcidin inhibit the ferroportin transporter, means it does not it decrease the absorption from the basal side of the iron. So it inhibit iron absorption by acting on the ferroportin, and it also inhibit the ferritin. It also inhibit us to use our iron storage. So hepcidin is a master regulator of iron. So practically one transferrin contains the 2 ferritin molecules. So suppose this is a transferrin. This is a transporter of iron which have 6 binding sites for iron, and practically what will happen, it has normally it has 6 sites for iron, but practically it only transport 2 iron forms. So in one transferrin molecules transport the 2 iron molecules. So the saturation of iron transferrin saturation is 2/6. That sites were 6 but only 2 is present, so the saturation is 33%. Means there were 6 sites and on the 6 site only 2 iron can transfer by one transferrin molecule, so the saturation outcome will come out 33%. So the transferrin saturation will come out 33%. Now let's move to the master regulator. So the master regulator of iron metabolism is hepcidin, and master regulator of immune system is CD4 T cells, that is T helper cell. Immune system master regulator is T helper cell and iron metabolism is hepcidin. These were the two questions, that the master regulator of iron metabolism is hepcidin and the iron master regulator for immune system is CD4 T cell, that is T helper cell. Now what were the clinical features we found on the iron deficiency anemia? So first one is the chelotis or angular chelotis, means at the angle of the mouth we find the chelotis. So these were the chelotis and the chelotis or stomatitis. So the chelotis and stomatitis, angular chelotis, stomatitis, and the person also has the eating non-edible substance habit, that is known as pica. And on the person's nails will look like a spoon shaped nail, so which is known as koilonkia, This is a recent FMG question, that this image is given in the question and they asked you that it is, so it is this condition will arise due to iron deficiency anemia. Please remember it. Koilonkia means spoon shaped nail is seen in iron deficiency anemia. Now on the peripheral smear, what we find that, so for this we have to see this image, that this is a nucleus of the lymphocyte. First we have to compare the nucleus of the lymphocyte with the normal RBC. So this is a nucleus of the lymphocyte and we have to compare with it RBC. Suppose we compare it with, so here lymphocyte nucleus is larger than the RBC, so means that the RBC size is reduced. But if we compare it with this one, so here both were equal size, means size is variable, as this is small, this is larger, this is small, this is also small, and this is larger. So means in this microcytic were seen, size of the RBC is reduced, but here the size is variable. So here is anisocytosis, means the size is variable and also the shape is variable, because here we see the pencil shaped, as we see here this is a pencil shaped, cell is seen. So means poikilocytosis is there, anisocytosis is there, and it is a hypochromic anemia, because the central pale is normally 1/3, but here we find more central pallor of RBC. So it is hypochromic anemia. Okay, so these were the features of the iron deficiency anemia. Now on the blood indices, what we find in the indices, we find MCV reduced, size reduced, color reduced, means MCH value is reduced, MCHC is reduced, MCHC only increase in hereditary spherocytosis, red cell distribution width is increased because they are showing variable size, so RDW increase. Serum iron is decreased because iron does not absorb. So storage form is also reduced because we are using our storage form of iron. We are utilizing our storage form. That's why serum ferritin is reduced, and serum transferrin saturation is also reduced. Why saturation reduced? Because one transferrin molecule contains the 6 sites. So out of all 6, no site is filled by iron. So the site ratio is also reduced. That why serum transferrin saturation ratio is reduced, and total iron binding capacity were increased. Means there were so many binding sites for iron, but iron is not there. Means total iron binding capacity is also increased, and serum transferrin saturation is reduced. I'm going to clean all this. So here we see this. So we see the TIBC value is increased and the serum transferrin saturation is increased. So we can also remember it by this trick, that TIBC means top, TIBC value top means increase in iron binding, iron deficiency, and B means base, means bottom, decrease in, C means chronic, conditions. So in chronic condition TIBC reduce and TIBC increase in iron. So this is a mnemonic for remembrance of TIBC, value increase or decrease, increase in iron, and B means bottom in chronic conditions. Now next one is microcytic hypochromic anemia condition is AOCD. So AOCD means anemia of chronic disease. As it is chronic condition, means interleukin 6 will play role in this. Interleukin 6 go to the liver and release the hepcidin. As we all know, hepcidin decrease the absorption of iron, and also it does not give us permission to use our storage form. So it inhibit the iron absorption also, and it inhibit the release of iron from storage form also. That's why ferritin is going to increase. Ferritin is going to increase means more and more storage is increased. Storage is normal, but there is a deficiency of iron, but because hepcidin does not let you do to utilize the storage form, and it also inhibit the iron absorption. So this is anemia of chronic disease. Next one is the sideroblastic anemia. Out of the SITA, we did the anemia of chronic disease, we did the iron deficiency anemia. Now is the sideroblastic anemia, and thalassemia we will study in our next video. So as for sideroblastic anemia, and the cause is lead poisoning, as I already told you. So the causes were vitamin B6 deficiency, alcohol, and lead poisoning. These were the causes of sideroblastic anemia, and these inhibit the iron incorporation into hemoglobin, means they did not allow the iron to enter into the hemoglobin. So that's why it caused the sideroblastic anemia. So in this we find the ringed sideroblast. Ringed sideroblast were seen, means out of the red blood cells, all the irons were present outside the red blood cells. That's why because it does not allow iron to enter into the hemoglobin, we see the ringed sideroblastic. So ringed sideroblast were seen in sideroblastic anemia, as this is a blast cells and these were the iron granules, and we can stain iron by Persian blue or pulse stain. So these stains were helpful in detection of finding of irons. So as we see in this peripheral smear, as we see here, that all the bluish structure, this is a iron which is stained by Persian blue stain or pulse stain, and they shows the ringed sideroblast. So they shows the ringed sideroblast. Now next move to the macrocytic anemia, and for the as we have the trick for the microcytic anemia, that is SITA. For macrocytic anemia we also have the mnemonic, that is Lady Hardinge Medical College, that is LHMC. For L stands for liver disease, H stands for hypothyroidism, M stands for megaloblastic anemia, and C stands for chemotherapeutic drugs. C stands for chemotherapeutic drugs. Now first move to the first we have to study the megaloblastic anemia. Now the megaloblastic anemia means there is decrease, either there is decrease of vitamin B12 absorption or there is decrease of folic acid absorption, because both these will cause the megaloblastic anemia. B12 absorption site is ileum and folic acid absorption site is duodenum. As I already told you in above, duodenum is the site for iron absorption. For duodenum, folic acid get absorbed, and from the ileum vitamin B12 get absorbed. So vitamin B12 absorbed from the terminal ileum, folic acid get absorbed from the jejunum. And terminal ileum means for the absorption of vitamin B12 we need the intrinsic factors, or we can say the Castell factors is needed for absorption of vitamin B12. What were the causes of vitamin B12 deficiency? Megaloblastic anemia, the causes were dietary deficiency due to parietal gastrectomy, means if there is deficiency of intrinsic factor, or there may be a cause of parasite, and the parasite involved for megaloblastic anemia is fish tapeworm, that is also known as Diplobacterium latum, and how we can identify it? We can identify it by seeing the operculated egg. We can see this knock-like structure on the above of the egg. So Diplobacterium latum is the cause for vitamin B12 deficiency, while hookworm is the cause for iron deficiency, and the other cause is pancreatitis or the malabsorptions. Now, what were the clinical features we see in the megaloblastic anemia? So, the clinical features we find in the megaloblastic anemia is SACD, that is subacute combined degeneration. Combined means that there is loss of motor plus sensory system. There is loss of motor plus sensory system. And degeneration means there is degeneration of spinothalamic tract. So, means the neurological manifestations were seen in due to vitamin B12 deficiency, not due to folic acid deficiency. How we can differentiate between folic acid and B12 deficiency anemia? So if there is neurological manifestations were seen in written in the questions, it means that it is talking about the vitamin B12 deficiency, not the folic acid deficiency. Let me give you one example. Suppose there is a lady who is having a anemia, and he has some neurological manifestations like seizures were come, uh, seizures were presentation of that lady. So this is a B12 deficiency anemia. It is not a folic acid deficiency anemia. So neurological manifestations were seen in vitamin B12 deficiency, and it also shows the atrophic gastritis and red beefy tongue. And on the peripheral smear, what we see that the size of the RBC were enlarged. We see the size of the RBC were enlarged, as we see here, and some will look like a macroovelocytes. So this is the peripheral smear. And next finding is Howell-Jolly bodies, and Howell-Jolly bodies consist of nuclear remnants. So this is the question, that Howell-Jolly bodies consist of, that is nuclear remnants. So these were the Howell-Jolly bodies as we see in this peripheral smear, and Howell-Jolly bodies were present in, first condition is megaloblastic anemia, and second is post-splenectomy. So these two conditions shows the Howell-Jolly bodies on peripheral smear, post-splenectomy and megaloblastic anemia, and these were the Howell-Jolly bodies. And the third finding is this figure of 8, that is also known as Cabot rings. It may be present at a 8 figure of 8, or it may be present some round structure. It can be in any structure, but these were the Cabot rings. These were the Cabot rings, and these were the findings of vitamin B12 deficiency on the peripheral smear. One more fifth finding, that is the segmented, hypersegmented neutrophils. As we see here, there were more than 5 segments were present, and they were findings in the vitamin B12 deficiency. So normal neutrophil shows the 3 to 5 nuclear lobes, while more than 5 lobes were known as hypersegmented neutrophils. So B12 deficiency will shows the macrocytic, means macroovulositic or macrocytic size of RBC increase, Howell-Jolly bodies, Cabot rings were seen, and there is hypersegmented, means there is hypersegmented. So these were the conditions which we see in the B12 deficiency. Now the Schilling test. So please remember that Schilling test is not for diagnosis, it just only tell you about the cause of megaloblastic anemia. So that test which we do for knowing the reason of the megaloblastic anemia is Schilling test. Please remember that it is performed to know the cause of megaloblastic anemia. So Schilling test is check the serum B12 decrease, folic acid decrease, homocysteine level is increased, and red cell folate. If there is red cell folate is decreased, it is most sensitive, because red cell folate is never get affected by the diet. So if there is red cell folate is more sensitive, because it does not affected by the diet. So these were the microcytic or macrocytic anemia. So in the next video I am going to tell you about the hemolytic anemia. So I hope you get benefit of this video. Thank you. Bye bye.